Howdy y'all. Welcome back to my channel. This is AR Cavley, and we're going to finally try to get get farther along in our adventure now that our colonial marshal, federal marshal, Justin Shank, and his new android partner, Harry, aka Harold 4, is now that they are on Tau Ceti. I've been sending kids off to college and going on some vacation and doing all those things that get in the way of role playing setups, even when you're just trying to do solo. Even when you're just trying to do solo, there are scheduling conflicts with yourself. So that's the main reason for the delay. So as a recap, like I said, they have gone through. They are now looking for this rogue general and his group of men out in the kind of the wilds of Tau Ceti. They've been dropped off in an ARCC, the armored car, basically, APC version of an APC, and as it comes in and it rumbles. Shank feels it through the seats. He's strapped up. What is it? It is a what was that vehicle? I want to say like a thunder something. I just had it. Forgot about it. Forgot what it was. Oh, there we go. There it is. The Mustang. Okay, that was the Mustang. So the Mustang rumbles and lands. Everybody jolts. The door, he can hear the door whine as it drops. And the ARCC, which I'm probably just going to end up calling it APC anyway, but the ARCC bounces down the ramp and into the jungle wilds of Tau Ceti, into this wilderness. Now, before the session, I went and made up a Marine squad. Oops, button. Yeah. So the group is led by Lieutenant Ed Hawkins. And some of those names may be a little different. I'll be honest, I did not go back through the the last video, and I probably didn't take as good of notes as I should have, but I didn't remember actually naming any of the soldiers they were with. But if I did, they were just playing jokes on the civilians. These are their real names. Names and ranks. They take off, and the first lieutenant, he's not a newbie. He's not a butter bar. He's no commando or anything like that, because we already established from the roles in the previous game that these guys were sort of drawn up, not necessarily misfits, but they're not like some crack team. They are the leftovers that command was willing to give Shank for this mission, because they want to get, the command wants to get General Meade as much as as well. Yeah, so Lieutenant Colonel Ryan Garvey, he's the one. Oh, I guess these are actually, they're Army. They're not Marines. My bad. Let's see. And it is Meade. Yeah, General Davis Meade, or former General Davis Meade, is known to have a small following. A lot of them veteran survivors of a famous battle. which I just had pulled up. Well, whatever. He was. It was a famous battle around Volcano 14. I thought I'd named it, but I don't remember. He has this small group, and he's involved in some kind of alien artifact smuggling because this is what he was trying to get from the billionaire back on Earth. That led to a couple shootouts, some deaths were involved, and Shank has been ordered to go arrest him. The army agrees they want him arrested, but he's not really a big enough concern for them to have pulled resources from the line. But now they have some government push. They've got some legal reasons to take care of it. So the squad has been assigned to the Ark and dumps out into the wilderness of Tau Ceti. First Lieutenant Hawkins turns and he looks at Shank and says, "Was that your first drop?" And Shank says, "More or less. I mean, we've done repel raids and stuff. We've dropped out of strictly law enforcement type SWAT, quick response kind of things. Never in the bush like this." And so they chit chat a little bit as the driver, the sergeant, starts leading the ARCC through the wild terrain. And they decided to drop this ARCC distant because for fear of getting any drop ships shot down, because it is known that this small group of medians, of general needs people, are probably equipped with some kind of heavy weapons, some kind of anti-vehicle weapons. Certainly, they have small arms. So they're hoping to drop in, zip close in their vehicle to, if nothing else, protect them from the somewhat unfriendly wildlife of Tau Ceti. We're going to come over here. Now, the story developed this. Now we're looking back at the solo rulebook, the hostile solo rulebook. The story developed the mission for this. So instead of rolling everything up, from start to finish, we're just going to use a couple of these tables. And I think the first one we're going to do is we're going to roll, because it's essentially an assault mission. They're trying to capture people in the compound or in a compound. So let's roll here and get some kind of inspiration as to what kind of building or facilities, because obviously they're not just living out there in tents. 8. All right, so it's a compound, civilian or military. I'm going to say I think the most appropriate, to me, what seems anyway, is that it's just at one time was an abandoned military facility, like a forward base or something. So we'll go with that. That's where his people are. They've probably upgraded it some. Maybe they didn't. And now we have this table. We're going to look at. All right. This is for a patrol, not an assault, but they are covering a good bit of distance, and they're not being dropped right on top. If I recall, I think they would be going like 200 kilometers or something. So it's going to be short range, inserted by truck or APC. Now they're going to be part of that. So we're just going to over that short roll, that short time. we're going to see what we'll just use that as a guide. Let's see what our complication is here. For arrival of enemy reinforcements behind you immediately after you begin the assault. All right. Well, that's going to make things tough, certainly. But there is a guerrilla war going on here. I'm going to say on a 4, 5, or 6, it's not actually these General Meade's people. I'm going to say that maybe there are some of these rebels, some of these, the Zing Zing, I think, um, the Chinese infiltrators that are attacking, that sneak in and do stuff. So on a 4, 5, or 6, it's going to be Meade's people. Otherwise, it's going to be the actual hostile forces involved in the war. All right, so, and that goes back because now I remember, this is the problem of not taking notes. We had one person, one of these people. Let's see if I actually wrote it down. One of these people was a traitor. Let's see. Guess I did not write it down, but I do remember that was a complication. So I think this traitor has given them has given them in short notice, but given them information as to where they're going to be. Now the traitor, of course, he does not want to get killed, and as I think we determined, as the rust and dust starts falling off of my brain wrinkles, I think it was more of a business opportunity. So either he's been bribed or he's, in for part of the cut on the recovered gear that they're going to get, one way or the other. So they're going to drive through the jungle. And it's going to be a short drive because how close they got dropped off. I'm going to say overall 2 hours to get there. So I'm going to give one roll to the sergeant who's driving to see if there is some kind of passage or trouble with the vehicle. Let me pull up the vehicle stats here real quick. This is what it looks like on the inside, by the way. There's the driver, the commander, squad leader, and all the Marines. It's not full. They've only got the 8 instead of the full 13. But they do have that. Let's see. I was looking to see if there was like an agility status for this thing. I'm not seeing it right. I'm not seeing it right here, so that's all right. That's good. Okay, 9, and just so I don't have to keep track of everything, I'm going to give all the privates basically a skill level of 1, and everyone above that a skill level of 2 in anything that I think they should have. So 9, 10, 11, even if it were -3 difficulty, that's still a pass. So they get the, what's his name? There's the driver. And you'll notice my creative attention to detail in making tokens. That's actually a ground crew or a vehicle crew picture from the Marine Hand Corps book. Sergeant Peyton does his duty. They get through the jungle, bouncing. He's looking out. He's looking at the monitor. Shank is. He's looking at what he can see on the monitors as they're going through, and it's just thick. It's some places are actually nice and pretty, but it's rough. It's rough. It just feels primal, even inside this this APC, surrounded by soldiers. He just doesn't feel. He feels like he's food. He feels like he's food in a can for one of these giant creatures on Tau Ceti. Not to mention the various factions of humans who are getting ready to attack them. So, but the trip is uneventful. It's rough. They're running over some trees and bushes. So Lieutenant Hawkins orders a halt for a quick disembarkment for 5 of these troopers who are going to follow behind and act as the infantry to spread out and support as the vehicle is going to make the final dash. They're going to make a final rush towards where they know this base is, and they're going to use the vehicle's armament, which is it has two 25 millimeter Gatling guns in its cupola up front there, and then it also has twin 28 megawatt pulse laser turret. All right, so they're going to go in, and instead of like serving a warrant or whatever, they're going to go in and they're going to blow. They're going to try to blow through the defenses and do a quick capture of this guy. They have orders. Everyone knows what General Meade looks like. They have orders not to kill him if possible, but those are higher level orders. They don't want to kill him, but you never know what a 28 megawatt laser is going to burn through in the heat of battle. So I think we'll go ahead. Let's see. I've got tokens here for who I I think will be representing the General Meade's forces. They're well equipped and they're motivated and they're veteran soldiers for the most part. And then here are the guys from the Elder Brotherhood. They're gonna pop up, like I said, as the attack begins. So they're following behind, probably in some kind of vehicle, but they're far enough behind that I'm not even going to worry about at this point whether or not they're going to be seen. They're going to come into the assault, yeah, like that revving engine right outside the window. Uh, they're going to come into the assault after it's engaged, so they're far enough back. They know, and they're going to. Let's see, who is the traitor? Who's that going to be? I think we'll say it's PFC Lewis. And of course, that's a little dangerous. He may not understand. He too will be exposed, and they may not necessarily see who's going on. But he has something. He's probably wearing like something like a red band or something on his helmet. It could be something even more clever than that. Maybe some kind of IR or some kind of ID tag or something so that they can do it. But I'll say it's something. It's meant to be kind of edgy. He's got some kind of red band painted around his helmet. We'll just leave it simple and visual. All right, so let's. I prefer to use as before. I kind of prefer to use the more advanced rules in the hostile set. So Let's take a look there. And they come around, and we're going to go for, see if there's surprise, and then we're going to go through initiative. And then we're going to start shooting. All right, and since in this case, I don't really have an actual visual in my mind as to say how open or how close they can get. Obviously, their vehicle makes some noise as it's going through, but jungles are noisy, so it's possible that this vehicle by itself could get pretty close without necessarily being out in the open. So we're going to determine our encounter range. Let's see, it's thick jungle, so -1. Now, our guys are using high-tech sensors. So they've got high-tech sensors, and I think I will apply that because obviously their goal is to use their heavy weapons to open the attack to blow away any kind of turrets. I'm expecting there's going to be some kind of defense, heavy weapons at the bad guy's side. So, all right, 6 -1 for the jungle, +2. Welcome to the jungle. I just can't help myself. So for a total of 7, so it is long range. All right, so it's a long range. We'll say that they have cleared out because they are, they're veterans. They're experienced in fighting in this jungle of Tau Ceti. So even though it's maybe a little bit backbreaking without the infrastructure of Big Green and having a corps of engineers to take care of things like that, they do actively work to keep the area around the base open enough so that it makes it harder for creatures and enemies to sneak up on them. So we're at long range, and so that's 50 to 250. So die 6. Yeah, times 5. All right, so 4 times 5, so 200 meters is the open engagement. That's when the two sides come inside. All right, now we know that our guys know it's there, right? They're ready. They're not going to be surprised. We're checking really to see if the other side is surprised. Although I take that back, if the other side does know that they're coming, they may have set up an ambush previous. So I'll take that back. We'll go through the normal thing. All right, so it uses a group perception mechanic where one player rolls, NPC rolls. All right, so we've got a modifier initiative roll of 8+. Long is -3. We are in a vehicle, so I would say that's going to be a -3 for us because we have limited view, but that is set out somewhat by the range, if I'm reading that right. Let's see. They do have sensors. All right, so going through, it's long range. Even though they know it's there, they don't have an eyes on, so they know it's there, but not where people are. So -3, -1, so -4, +1, +2. And I'll assume that those guys are there. Now, I don't think they're going to be an ambush because earlier, remember, rolled a 2 for their preparedness, so I don't think that they're going to have time to set up an ambush now that I remember that. But all right, our our soldiers. And 6. All right, so I'm going to say that is with the modifiers, with the long range and everything. They come around, they see the place, but they don't immediately see what to attack. Now let's see about the other guys. They're going to be the same thing. It'll be a -3. I'm not gonna apply this distracted since I already used that to decide that they couldn't have an ambush. But we'll say that they do have that, and the enemy is in a vehicle, so they're gonna see that pretty quick. All right, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. All right, so they do see the enemy. They see the vehicle, the ARCC. They see it coming around. They probably heard it. It's crushing whatever. So they're not surprised. So in this case, no one is surprised as the ARCC rushes forward, firing with the troops behind. All right, now our normal order of combat is basically the PCs go and then the NPCs go, but at this point, both the PCs are inside, so it's just going to be our side versus their side. Now we know that we are at 200 meters between the two, and you know what? I'm just gonna jot that down here in the real world. The start 200 meters. And that's what they're going to open up. What kind of defenses do they find? All right, so they do have they have men manning some heavy weapons, heavy machine guns up at their on the wall of their compound. So that's what they're going to try to take out first. They're going to try to shoot those heavy weapons. So we'll use these two as the initial gate guards. And I'm going to have to take a quick overview of the vehicle combat because I've not used it yet. All right, so as we're determining initial range bands for the heavier weapons, I'm going to say that they have two heavy machine guns on their gate. And they have a range band of long, which is the encounter range. Our vehicle has, I guess it's going to be considered a light autocannon, 20 to 25 millimeter, very long, and a pulse laser cannon, distant. So I guess that's even longer still. So all right, so at the listed range band, it's going to be 10 plus to hit with the vehicle weaponry. I guess the heavy weaponry it'll act more like regular machine guns and stuff. All right. And a weapon that has a number greater than 1 for their fire is capable of auto fire. Against vehicles, this provides a DM bonus to hit used against personnel. See below. even though they are in some kind of station, probably have like sandbags and stuff around their machine gun. I'm going to say it's against personnel. So use the range to target to determine hits on enemy personnel. Let me pause while I peruse the rules. All right, so since the weapons are being used against personnel, the bonus does not, uh, it doesn't relate to plus DM, but how many hits it gets, I guess, on a hit, or how many people get struck on a hit. All right, so our light auto cannon has a rate of fire of 6, and our pulse laser cannon. Okay, so that's just 1, although it's twin mount. All right, so max range reduction here. So a higher rate of fire will reduce the weapon's listed maximum range. Now our weapon was at a long range, or was it very long range? Oops. All right, so our light auto cannon has a very long range. So if we fire auto fire, it reduces the range, the effective range to long, but that puts it in the that makes it at range. So that would actually make it a little harder to hit by spraying that. So I think what they're going to do is they're going to use one pulse laser against one machine gun mount, and then they're going to do a short burst at the other. So both of those are going to be actually below the listed range. With the auto fire, they're just going to do a rate of fire of 4, and that's going to just hit the guy and hit the area. So yeah, that's all I need. So they're both below the listed range band. So 2 of the 25 millimeter. Okay, so that's a 10. So that's going to be a hit. I'm not even going to bother with effect for these because they have pretty high damage already. So that's 1 hit, 2 hits, 2 hits on the first guy manning the gun, and see about the lasers. All right, 1 laser miss, 7, and then 8. If we give the gunner, the corporal, if we give her the +1, I think it's the her. Yeah. All right, so we have 1 that's going to be, it was 1 hit, so he does actually 2 points of damage. So we're looking at the vehicle heavy rotary cannon, does 66 SAP. I don't know what SAP means. Let me look. I'll look that up real quick. Oh, here we go. Special damage effects, ablative. All right. Well, I can't find what SAP stands for. So I guess I'll just use the regular AP value. The way AP works is if it has the AP, you take the front die, so it ignores that many points of armor. So this will ignore 6 points of armor. Seems to me that previously I had an issue trying to remember what SAP stood for too. And I think I found it, but I'm not able to find it this time, and I'm just going to move on and just treat it as AP. So it's going to do 66. This guy's going to take 2. The end of this book actually has a bunch of the handy handy tables all squished together. But we're gonna say that they are equipped with maybe not the full plates or whatever, but everyone involved is going to have armor because they're either on duty, they're equipped, or the bad guys that are coming up from behind, they're going to have armor because they're looking for a fight. I'm going to say that they have it. They're probably not fully kitted out, but we'll say that they have a enforcer rigid plated armor, which is like the old, the soldiers. Basically, what all of our guys have. They're wearing this the combat armor as they go out, and General Meade's people probably have those. Maybe just down to the, maybe they're not wearing the full thing though. So I'll say that they have an armor value of 8. Say. And then the other guys, I don't think they're going to be quite as well equipped, so we'll give them like an armor value of 6 to represent, that they've got some kind of ballistic vest, got some kind of tactical armor, maybe a helmet. So we'll go with 8. All right, and I may not even need to. I'm probably not even going to need to bother to come up with this guy, but he's going to get hit with 6 dice, I believe, is what the vehicle weapons do. Yeah, 66. And that guy got hit twice as the cupola chatters, boom, and hits that guy twice. They get armor 8. So each one of these is -2. Oh, okay. All right. So yeah. So the first guy at the tower, he and the heavy machine gun in front of him disappears in a cloud of red mist and flying debris and shrapnel as the autocannons just tear it to pieces. Now the other guy, his station got hit by a pulse laser cannon. And I guess it's the same weapon as a ship, so that's gonna be 96. And what is AB? Probably ablative. I should have looked that up. Yeah, ablative. Permanently removes 1 point of armor per die of damage. In addition, okay, so this guy's 8 points are going to, his armor is going to melt away on him. Although I think, let's see, does it destroy it beforehand? Permanently removes. In addition, so I guess it's kind of like armor piercing, but full on. So he's not going to get anything, but he might survive if we roll all ones from the one laser. One laser, it hums and then sparks fly where the non-visible laser hits, and the other one strikes him. I actually happen to have 9 dice here, so. All right, 10, 15, 21, 25. 25. If he is a really tough, guy, rolled everything pretty high, he could survive at 25 points of damage. Let's see. Strength 8. 4. No. All right. So he did not. He vaporizes in a fiery spark, and they go rolling in. Now the other side, they're not surprised. They know they're coming, so the they're not completely caught with their pants down. And we're going to say that they do have some kind of vehicle weapon. So the vehicle pulls forward, and the troops slide off into cover, into the trees to start getting close and getting ready to lay down fire. All right. And I'm going to put these guys back in the pool and say that they do have equipment. Um, Now they don't want to pell-mell shoot, fire autocannons and lasers into this encampment because they're looking for to capture General Meade. So they're driving around, and some of these guys definitely do have. Someone's definitely going to have an anti-vehicle weapon of some kind. All right, so the troops head out, and now they're just going to right now they're still at about 200 yards or meters. Sorry, they're about 200 meters. The vehicle is bouncing. Shank is still holding on, and they're looking for targets now because they are walled. It is a walled compound, so they can't see people directly. They're not out in the open. They do have IR sensors and stuff like that, so they will easily pick up people who try to do something. Let's see. What kind of... And they probably have some kind of sensors themselves because they are veterans living in a war zone, so they've probably managed to get their own IR sensors and whatnot. I think what I'm going to do, since the PC is at least for these first initial rounds, I'm going to go back to hostile solo, and I'm going to use the combat scene resolution because it's pretty quick, and just because I haven't used it either, so um, we'll see how that works. Now, basically, we're going to... All right, so we know the experience of the enemy. We decided that they're veteran. Okay. All right, so we're going to see if our lieutenant makes a tactics roll to give us a bonus here. Okay, so he does. So he's got it. He knows he's able to position the troops and the ARCC to provide effective cover. All right, we're just going to use our simplifying squad combat. If you're using combat rules from earlier, instead of having do everything for each Marine NPC in the firefight. All right, so if we're looking, we've got, since the troops are actually doing the assault, I'm gonna have just roll them. So it's we'll say 5 and 5. If the NPC team has, all right, so -2. Oh, that's a whole different thing. We're just going to grab up the D6s. All right, so it's going to be 5, and so 5 dice, 1 for each of the NPCs, and basically this just works. Even though normally I do kind of prefer to break things down, or to use more complicated rules. I'm feeling a little lazy. I'm feeling a little lazy in this battle, especially since the PCs at this point are not really doing anything. Once if they end up having to leave the APC, then maybe things will change. But right now, they're just kind of along for the ride, holding on to their seats as the ARCC bounces around. So we've got 5, and we definitely have some heavy weapons support. We've got some autocannons and the ARCC doing good support. So we'll say 5, and then I'm going to give a bonus of, so that's 1 for each Marine. I'm going to give 2 dice for the APC that's driving around. And then I'm going to throw another die in there because Lieutenant did such a good job with his tactics roll. Now, if the enemy force is under hard cover or well concealed, then have the dice available. If they are in bunkers or other types of fortification, have the dice total again. Now, they're definitely in cover, so we'll take 4 of those out. Are they in bunkers though? Are they in something that would count as a bunker? I'm gonna say maybe on a 5 or a 6. No. All right. So our guys, they're shooting. The Marines or the Army, the soldiers have filed off one way. They're assaulting. The ARCC is providing cover as it sees people come up. So any 6. All right. So nothing there. All right. So they're firing into the base, but this time they are ready. And the ones who are firing back are good to go. Do the same for the enemy unit facing the NPCs. Grab 66. Well, they are assaulting, so, but they do have to keep their cover down. So I'm going to give 5. And on 6s, a 6 you roll, it takes out one of the soldiers. Oh, uh-oh. All right, so we're gonna randomly drop 2 of these guys here. Number 3 and number 2. Now they may not be dead. But they are fighting veterans. They start return firing, and somebody launches a grenade, and it strikes close to where 2 of the Marines are at, and they go down screaming, "Oh, we've got 2 down." Who is down? Joyce Baker and Don Livingston. Corporal Baker is actually she's a senior person. They're hit. All right. Next round, we're going to go ahead and do the same thing, except now they've only got 3. And then again, +2 for the APC. And I think the APC, after the 2 people go down, the APC is going to start hosing stuff out. While they're doing that, Shank, he's going to try to contact someone on the radio on one of the channels, saying this is Deputy Chief Justin Shank of the Marshal Service. General Meade, you are under arrest. Please surrender. Now that they've already started shooting. And again, nothing. Those vets are hiding inside pretty well. All right, and now they're going to. They may try to take. They may try to take care of that NP or that ARCC because they do. They do have. Yeah, they do have some heavy weapons. I think if they get any sixes this time, the first six is going to be applied to the RCC, and I think in that case, I'll probably shift back over to more detailed and have maybe a missile actually hit it so we can use the vehicle damage table, and hopefully our PC won't die in in a fiery explosion. All right. Oops. So we did get 1-6, so they have attacked and hit the ARCC. Let's see. Probably with a missile. Let's see. Probably with the. What is that called? I know it's not. I know it's here somewhere. Oh, well, probably not a plasma gun. Probably this Eagle Eye disposable missile. I'm going to say that's probably what it is. On a 1 through 5, it's one of these disposable missiles, just because they're a little easier to take care of. All right, or to acquire. All right, so damage 8d6. Okay. All right, so it halves the target's armor and then does 8d6 of damage. What kind of armor do we have? Oh, it does have a jammer. A jammer and an IR flare dispenser. Let's see if one of those might help. I mean, it did roll a 6. It gets in kind of some fudgy point where, me as the solo GM is getting lazy and rolling a dice pool for one effect and then trying to get use the other rules. All right, this provides a +3 DM to hit unless the guidance computer cannot lock on, is confused by decoys, or has no IR signature. Okay. All right, so I'm going to say, let's see. Because it does actually have IR decoys and stuff, I'm going to say that those things may save them. So it's not going to get the normal +3 DM to hit. Fire and forget. Yeah, I'm just gonna leave it to a veteran roll +2d6, and it's gonna be in regular range by now because they are getting closer. And it would normally have the +3 DM as highlighted there because of the onboard computer and whatnot, but our ARCC has defenses. So do they hit the RCC? 6, 7, 8. Yes, they do. So it's going to have that and then do 8d6. But where's my armor? What kind of armor? Doesn't have armor. It says armored combat carrier. Oh, here we go. All right, so 24 armor. So that's pretty good. And did what? Did it say it have the armor? I forgot. Let's see. Yes, have the target's body armor. So it's going to leave it to 12. It's going to have that to 12. And then does 8d6. So there's a chance. 8d6 minus 12. All right, so there's the armor. That leaves 10, 16. So 16 points get through the armor as the red lights blare on and incoming. And Shank says, "Is that incoming for us?" And Harry says, "Get down, sir." Now they're strapped in, so he can't really get down. But he does cover up. So now we're going to hop over to our vehicle damage rules, which is something else I haven't looked at for a while. Again, it's not solo because I don't use them too often. All right, vehicle penetration and damage. Damage versus armor. Roll the weapon damage. Do not add any effect, which is good. It didn't have it anyway. We have the armor. Any damage left over is applied to the penetration damage table, which I said was 16. All right, subtract hull point damage from the vehicle's hull points. All right, so that's going to be -4. What did we have here? What's our hull? Ooh, hull is 10 and 10. I'll go ahead and mark that here. 10, 10. But he takes 4. And we get a roll on the component. 1 roll. All right, so when hull reaches knocked out, is 0, it's knocked out. If flying was crashed, further reductions in hull points must be made to the vehicle's structure points instead. So basically, hull is the how many it can take before it gets knocked out, and the rest of it is what happens to get it destroyed. All right, so it's going to take, it took 16. It's going to take 1 component damage roll here. 3. Control. Control is affected. Apply -1 on all driving or piloting rolls. In addition, an immediate average roll to retain control of the vehicle must be made. All right, so let's see. Does our guy make it with his -1? We'll say he's got, I think it's a sergeant driving. Yes, it's a sergeant driving. Although he's a clumsy sergeant, he's got a low agility. That's a -1 agility. I decided to leave that in there because, not everybody's speed racers. So his effective skill is only going to be 1. So it's just going to be the 1 penalty is going to catch out. So 8 or better for him to retain control after the missile slams into the side. Oh no! So that's we're gonna call that a fumble. Yeah, that's bad. Bad for you. Bad for everybody. As the missile slams in and old Sergeant Peyton kind of panics and he jerks the control stick around and causes the vehicle. Does it roll over? I want to say it's probably going to roll over. Oh yeah. So he jerks out of the way, and it barely even does anything. But maybe it had something to do with the control hit, whatever. But the missile slams into the it slams into the side of the ARCC, and it rolls. What? Shank is jerked around. I'm gonna say since they're all strapped up, and they got the helmets and stuff, they're gonna have sore muscles or whatnot from being rolled and bounced around. But I'm gonna say that they're not actually gonna be hurt from the roll. And because it was a fumble, and because I got this follow-up 6, which in that case was bad, I'm going to say it's not going to be one of those where it happily rolls back onto its back onto its wheels. So it is canked over. Let's see. 1 through 3, it's on the side. 4, 5, 6, it's on the top. Okay, so it's actually rolled all the way over as it comes to a stop, as the lights flicker, as Shank is trying to get himself back oriented. He's hanging upside down. He hears the lieutenant is he's yelling at the gunner, which is Sergeant Henderson there, and Peyton trying to get a status report, and out, and they evacuate the vehicle because now it is upside down, belly up, and it was just an unfortunate roll because it wasn't even really hit that hard. I was like, oh yeah, heck, it's got plenty of hits left. And old Sergeant Peyton, he's just got to roll it. My word. But that does us some good in gaming terms because now the NPC are the PCs are engaged. They're not just hiding in it. Now they're in the open. They the lieutenant guides everyone out. They are going to escape the vehicle in short order while the rest of the battle is going on, and the veterans inside, they're they're giving each other a high five and calling names, stuff like that. Let's see. I think maybe is there a chance that the gun of course it's on its back, so no. I was going to see if it were on its side, I might give it a chance to say maybe it was kind of facing in a direction to where even though the vehicle wasn't moving anymore, that the turrets might still be able to. And even though that first turret, the cupola, the miniguns are up front, and they're kind of recessed. Now, I'm just going to say things are not things are not going to work for that. So they hop out. The lieutenant's calling over the radio, "Vehicle down! Vehicle down!" And the remaining 3 over here are taking cover. And these 3 using the they know they can't. They know they can't stay there, and this gunfight is not going well. So the remaining 3, they know they can't stay there, but they're also they don't want to be running out in the open. So now it's pretty much 6 on 6. We'll say that we'll say this guy has a grenade launcher that he can use. So now we're back to the gunfight. Shank and the bot are told to stay behind and kind of watch, just watch the rear, mostly to keep them from getting shot. Of course, they're not safe either. They, the other side starts lobbing grenades over or, launching mortars to try to get them out from behind the vehicle. Then they're going to get blown up too. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then half of that because those guys are in defenses. Really not a good plan. I probably should have given a little more advantage for them to soften the space up. But oh well. right, so nothing on them. But I am going to say now these guys are no longer advancing now either. So I'm going to say both sides are in cover. These guys are behind a vehicle, and where am I? Hard cover or well concealed. Um, yeah, so I'm just going to say that both sides are now in cover, shooting back and forth. Bang, 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 bang. Bullets are flying, and I'm gonna do one more round. So here are our soldiers. I know I keep mixing it up with Marines, but if our guys, our friendly NPCs. Oh, they finally get a hit. Good. So one of the guys who was coming around laying fire, bullets are flying everywhere. He falls, with a scream that no one can probably hear over the gunfire and the and the distance involved, because they're no longer at long range. Because like I said, I imagine as the fight was going on, the other squad was advancing while the vehicle was getting closer and maneuvering and just laying down heavy weapons fire. All right, and that's going to bring those guys down to 2 as they shoot back. All right, bullets are flying. The Marines' cover is working, and Shank. We'll give him a quick roll here. He's 7, and I believe he's got, for what I'm looking for anyway. All right, so he's got +1 intelligence. He doesn't have recon. But I don't think he necessarily needs it. That's an 8. I'm going to give it to him in this case because he notices 6 men rushing out of the woods behind them. So let's we'll just leave him up there. Lieutenant, contact rear. Oh, and we'll leave it there. Kind of struggled trying to find some of those rules for the combat. But when you're talking about group combat and they're firing a distance and things like that, I do kind of prefer, or I appreciate, I would say, I appreciate the kind of the more random version of it because, of course, marksmanship always counts, but when you're firing into places where you may not actually be able to see the target, you're only, shooting at their muzzle flashes, things like that. I think that's a pretty cool way to deal with things. But as the enemy comes out from the other side, the Elder Gong, the Elder Brothers, I would say they're equipped and they've got, I think I said armor 6. I'm going to give them like a bonus on 1, though, +1 for the skills if it comes down to that. But now, our PCs are involved in the fight. And we will catch you next time. Happy gaming.